hung up the phone and shook my head. It was always the same. Sulu, CEO of her family's Fortune 500 company, lived what most would call a dream life business. Dinners, fashion parties, spa days, impulsive getaways across the globe. Yes. But above all, she never missed a night of drinking with her equally wealthy friends. She was drunk 7 nights a week, and me, I was her boyfriend. Which meant I was also her driver, bodyguard, chef, housekeeper, and personal assistant. Tonight was no different. I dropped her off at a private club where her circle liked to gather. It was their usual spot, dim lights, velvet couches, exclusive. Upstairs, the place looked like a fashion magazine wreck. 5 girls in expensive outfits were slumped over sofas and carpets in various clumsy positions. I spotted Sulu. At least tonight she hadn't thrown up on herself. That was an improvement. I lifted her gently into my arms, carrying her princess style. Her head rested on my chest, her breath warm against my skin. Her long, silk-stockinged legs brushed against me, still a thrill, even after all these years. Once we got home, the real routine began. I made her hangover soup, feeding it to her spoon by spoon. I ran a bath, washed her, dried her off, did her hair, and dressed her in pajamas. I tucked her into bed like she was fragile, like she might break. Weed. Argued countless times about her drinking. I begged her to stop, or at least slow down. But she'd just roll her eyes and drink even more. The next morning, I was up early, as always. Her breakfast was ready, outfit laid out. I sat on the edge of the bed waiting for her to stir. She blinked. Awake, rubbed her eyes, and gave me a kiss. "Ya's birthday today," she mumbled. "Take me to the club later. Don't pick me up too early. We'll be drinking late." First thing in the morning, and she was already planning her next night out. "What about your stomach?" I asked, irritated, handing her the clothes I'd prepared. She frowned. "Can you not nag like an old woman first thing in the morning?" She muttered. "It's just my best friend's birthday. Don't be a killjoy." By the time she was dressed, I had her toothpaste and water ready. Her stomach-soothing porridge was on the table. 7 years of this, she didn't have to lift. A finger eye did everything. She just had to go through the motions. I got to the office, chaired a meeting, laid out some key strategy plans, and dove into the growing stack of documents from my secretary. That kept me busy until lunch, after which I met several major clients. Then came a student-aid charity banquet in the evening. I barely had time to breathe. At 12:30 a.m., I drove back to the club and waited in the lobby again. Every day was like this, revolving around Sulu and the company. I hadn't had a moment to myself in years. We'd met back in high school, though we weren't in the same class. She was the school beauty every guy's dream. I was the tall, good-looking guy from class 3, known for my physique thanks to years of martial arts. Training with my uncle, we never really spoke until one afternoon when she and a group of her friends cornered me on the basketball court. "Class 3 has a handsome guy with a good body," she said flatly, looking me over. "Let's check him out." One girl laughed. "He's got abs." "Sulu, you two would be the perfect couple." Some even tried to lift my shirt to see for themselves. I backed away, confused. Sulu smiled faintly. "All right then. From now on, you're my boyfriend. If you have a girlfriend, break up. If not, great." She tossed me a phone and a meal card. "This phone is only for me. The card has 30,000 yuan on it every month. I'll take care of you." Before I could even respond, they were gone. I stared at the phone and card, stunned. ... Well, a man's still got to eat. So I called my dorm mates, and we had a feast. After that, she was the one who kept the contact going. She bought me clothes, dressed me to match her tastes, showered me with jerseys and basketball shoes because she knew I liked the game. Back then, I genuinely felt she was the best woman I'd ever had in my life, besides my mom. After we graduated, I joined her family's company. She brought me home to meet her parents. They seemed okay with me, even if I wasn't from a wealthy background. Their only request? I had to marry into her family and take her surname. Honestly, I understood. When your family's worth billions, you don't just hand the keys to an outsider. My parents were fine with it. I had a younger brother to carry our family name anyway, so I started at the bottom. After 2 years of grinding, Sulu took over one of the companies and became CEO. I was transferred to be her personal secretary. People talk a lot, they say. I'm not good enough for her, that I'm too ordinary, that I only want her money. At first, Sulio ignored the gossip, but I could feel her start to change. She became colder, more distant. When I proposed, she turned me down. I want to focus on my career, she said. What career? She barely lifted a finger. I ran the business, not her. Still, I couldn't blame her, not really. I knew where that career excuse came from. Her friends. They filled her head with doubts. I tried explaining. She just narrowed her eyes and said, as the saying goes, explanations are just cover-ups. That wasn't a saying. It was one of her friends. Twisting words again, so I kept doing what I always did, being the best boyfriend possible. Feeding her, washing her, dressing her, supporting her like she was made of glass, and yet she grew even colder. Tonight, like every night, I brought her home drunk, cleaned her up, and put her to bed. But as I looked at her face, so beautiful, even in sleep, I suddenly felt empty, exhausted. I brushed her cheek gently, then turned and walked out. I slept in the guest room that night, before dawn. I was jolted awake by Sulu's voice. I jumped up, still in my boxers, and rushed to the bedroom. "Baby, are you okay?" I said, heart pounding. Another nightmare? Her face was pale and furious. "Hugh, she said coldly. "Where the hell were you?" "I threw up all over the place, and you weren't there." She threw up all over the bed, and no one seemed to care. Swa glanced at the mess with clear disgust before snapping at me. "Since we moved in together, I've never been humiliated like this." While quickly trying to clean the sheets, I apologized. "I was exhausted yesterday. I've got a big meeting tomorrow and can't afford to be late. I still need to make your breakfast and take you to see your friends." I was afraid I wouldn't wake up in time, so I crashed in the guest room. I thought she'd understand, maybe even appreciate how much I've done for her over the years. Maybe even soften. But instead, her expression darkened. Her voice turned cold and hoarse. "So, you're finally done pretending? Tired of me already, huh?" she scoffed. Guess my friends were right. A gold digger like you was always just using me. Unreliable, not even married yet, and you're already showing your true colors. Lucky I didn't say yes to your proposal. My hands froze, mid-clean. Tried not to let the ache in my chest show. I stayed quiet, scared that anything I said would make things worse. "What? Feeling guilty now that I've caught on?" she continued. "Let me tell you something, Keo. If I leave, the line of people waiting to date me could stretch to the beach. But if you lose me, you've got nothing." Her words cut deep. Fearing I'd lose control, I just silently changed the sheets and rushed out of the room. The sound of glass shattering echoed behind me. I arrived at work completely drained. The meeting I was supposed to attend got canceled, but even if it hadn't, I wasn't in the right headspace. I just slumped over my desk, staring blankly at the mountain of paperwork. What am I even doing this for? I thought about all I'd given up: my hobbies, my friends, even my weekends. Everything for her. In a sudden moment of clarity, I picked up my phone and called 2 of my best friends from college, Sunan and Sue. "Basketball?" I asked. They were surprised, but they agreed. "Where have you been hiding these past few years?" Sue joked. "When we met at the court, it's probably tied to his wife's handbag," Sutton teased. "Come on, don't jinx me," I said, laughing. "We played for over 3 hours. I hadn't had that much fun in years. Felt like being in high school against Weddy. Silly and free." That night, I offered to take them to a fancy restaurant, but they dragged me to a street stall instead. We shared grilled skewers, beer, and old stories until we lost track of time. When I woke up the next morning, my phone was buzzing like crazy, dozens of missed calls and hundreds of messages, all from Suwa and her friends. Panic set in. I jumped out of bed, pulled on my clothes, and called her back. No answer. I didn't even bother washing my face. Side drove straight home. When I opened the door, there she was, sitting on the sofa, still in yesterday's clothes. Her eyes were swollen from crying, and the air reeked of alcohol. I went over to hug her, but she didn't respond. That silence was worse than a slap. If she'd pushed me away, at least that would mean she still cared. But this stillness. Cold silence. "You didn't come home all night?" she said softly. Too softly. "Where were you?" "My friends called me out. I haven't seen them in years." I thought, if not now, maybe never. I couldn't bring myself to tell the truth that I was the one who reached out first. "Street food stalls again, Kyo?" She scoffed. "When are you going to raise your standards?" "That kind of junk is disgusting. You and your friends are all the same." I'd had enough. Enough, Swa. Have I had a single day of rest these past few years? Even on holidays, I'm serving your whole family at your house. Out of everyone at the company, including you who works harder than me? I looked her in the eye. The least you could do is show some respect for my friends. For me, she was stunned. Never spoken to her like that before. "You're yelling at me for them?" she said, looking at me like I was a stranger. "You're my man, Kyo. Do you know how people will look at me if they see you drinking beer at a dirty food stall?" Then her voice hardened. "If you're so unhappy working at my family's company, plenty of people would be happy to replace you. And if you don't want to take care of me or my family, maybe I don't need you at all." That hit me hard. Not because she was angry, but because she meant every word. Years of bottled-up pain and resentment boiled over. "I'm tired too. Sua, I know you've always looked down on me. But don't forget, it was you who chased after me. If I'm so worthless now, then fine. Let's break up." I turned to leave, Kyo. She shouted, "If you walk out that door, don't ever come back." I didn't stop. Behind me, I heard another glass smash. I didn't even take anything. With me, I just drove to a hotel and checked in. I thought I'd rest for a few days before figuring out what to do next. To be honest, Swa was always generous. She bought me expensive clothes and gifts, gave me extra money on top of my salary. I wasn't exactly broke even without packing a bag. But just when I thought I'd finally get some peace, on the third day, I got a call from one of her best friends, Ruxu. "Hey Kyo, I heard you and Lu broke up. Is it true? What's it to you?" "She's been super down the past 2 days. Hasn't even left the house." I rolled my eyes. "Shouldn't you be comforting her? Everyone already sees me as her lapdog." "Don't play games. You're crazy." She laughed, but I'd already hung up. Half an hour later, my phone buzzed. Again, another call, this time from her other friend, Su Ning. "Hey Kyo, I heard you guys broke up." Lately, she wouldn't even come out to hang out. Whatever, it wasn't my problem anymore. Shouldn't you go back and coax her? Someone sneered over the phone. "Everyone knows you're her lapdog. Don't pretend you're playing hard too. If Lua really doesn't want you, you'll be the one crying." Then came the part that really ticked me off. "Do all of you best friends copy and paste the same crap before calling me? Get lost?" "Don't disturb my peace," I snapped, and hung up. Even I was stunned. Was that really me? Was that the same calm, patient, gentle Shu? The other 3 best friends called me next, saying the exact same things. I cursed them all out, hung up, shut off my phone, and yanked the SIM card out. Finally, the world went quiet. I headed to a public basketball court and joined a pickup game with some strangers. I couldn't keep asking my own friends. They had their own lives. We were mid-game. We're having fun. When a black Rolls-Royce pulled up by the side of the court, it looked familiar. The door opened, and the first thing that appeared was a pair of flawless, long legs. Then came a stunningly beautiful woman, Su Zening, one of Sulu's best friends. She stood quietly at the edge of the court, just watching us play. Everyone's attention shifted to her. The game basically died on the spot. Someone even took a basketball to the face because they weren't paying attention, and giggled. And weirdly, the guy who got hit looked like he just won the lottery. She smiled at me. That beauty smiled. At me, with the game pretty much over, I walked to the sidelines to grab my stuff, but she stopped me. "I already told you. I'm not going back to talk to Su. She and I have nothing to do with each other anymore," I said, wiping off my sweat. "I'm not here for her," Zening replied, smiling. "I have something to talk to you about." then say it. Let's talk in the... Kara, I hesitated, but curiosity got the better of me, and I followed her in. You got any plans? She asked once we were seated. Not really. Just finished a break. Figured I'd mess around a few more days before deciding what to do next. She tilted. Her head. Seems what they said about you always being busy was true. You must be exhausted after all those years. Was I seeing things, or did she just look genuinely concerned? Just get to the point, Suzenning. I don't have patience for your games. Why are you talking to me like that? Why are you talking to me like that? Did I do to deserve this? Stop pretending. You and your little friend group spread enough crap about me. You think I don't know? I snapped, reaching for the door. Wait, she said suddenly. I need a driver. If you're free, I'll pay you $100,000 a month. I gave her a dry laugh. You kidding me? She opened the door a crack. And before I could get out, she said $1 million. I shut the door and moved to the driver's seat. Don't misunderstand. Me, Miss Sue. I just really enjoy driving a Rolls-Royce. Where to? She smiled, satisfied. Home, and about that salary. Can we start counting from today? That price won't do? Suzenning said the next day, just as I was about to cook lunch. My offer includes 3 meals a day, plus a driver, bodyguard, and housekeeper. I agreed instantly. Fewer duties than what I used to do for Sulu. Easy money. I made lunch for her the day she praised it endlessly. It was better than her own private chef's cooking. Truth is, Sulu was such a picky eater that I'd learned to cook really well. The inevitable happened the next day. Zenning had me drive her to a club to meet friends. I got out to open her door and saw her. Sue. Lua, she saw me to Wand, quickly walked over. Zenning raised her arms to greet her, but Lua bypassed her and came straight to me. Her voice trembled as she tried to hold back her emotions. Why are you here? It's been days. Do you know what I've been going through? Kept my smile polite. What can I say? The pay was good, the workload's light. So that's it? You're doing this for money? She asked, almost accusingly. What else would it be? You think my family's in the business of losing money? She clenched her fists. I could see her trying to stay composed. Shoo, my patience has limits. Come home with me now, and we'll let the past go. Otherwise, she paused, trying to maintain her pride. Then go ahead and pursue your otherwise, I said flatly. Sue Zenning stepped between us quickly. Lua, I've tried to talk sense into him. He's still angry, stubborn as ever. If he works for me a bit, maybe he'll cool down. Then I'll try again. Lua bought it, of course she did. Zenning had been the loudest critic of me among her friends. She must have really disliked me, or so Lua believed. Moved, she let Zenning lead her inside, but not without glancing back at me several times. Later, the rest of her friend group arrived. Each of them came over to chat briefly when they heard I was now Zenning's driver. Her expressions were unreadable, mixed with shock, maybe something else. In the following days, her friends kept coming downstairs with pastries and drinks for me, chatting like we were old friends. One by one, they'd get called back upstairs, but not before spending a few minutes with me. They were never this friendly when I was dating one of their own. That night, I went upstairs to pick someone up, like usual. Only this time it wasn't. Zenning standing alone, it was her and Sulua. She was awake and usual, not as drunk either. When she saw me, I turned to leave. Stop, put her down. Just help her walk, she said coldly. She's out cold. How's she supposed to walk? I retorted. She hesitated, realized I had a point, and quickly grabbed a towel to cover Zenning up. When you get back, don't give her a bath. Just wipe her down and make sure the housekeeper helps her. That kind of extra service isn't in my job description, I replied blandly, then kept walking. She followed me out. I'll go back with you tonight, she muttered. When we got back, she called the housekeeper immediately. I was off the hook and went straight to bed. Next morning, I got up early to cook breakfast. She was sleeping on the sofa, wearing a slip dress. Her long white legs, delicate feet, and serene face made me pause. I made an extra portion. Sulua ate, with an unusually good appetite. Normally I'd eat after them, but this time nothing was left. We've gotten stingy. What? Now you only cook just enough for you-know-who? Serves you right for not having any, she said, mouth as sharp as ever. Zenning, on the other hand, was warm strangely so. She took out her favorite snacks and fed them to me while I did the dishes. "Sorry," she said, laughing. "Your cooking was so good I couldn't help myself. Try this snack. It's really good." She placed the box in my hand, smiling brightly. Lua stood nearby, watching us quietly. She looked at me, then away, lips pursed, saying nothing. They had planned to go shopping today, so I drove them to the biggest mall in the city, packed with luxury brands and designer boutiques. Naturally, as the only guy in the group, I became the designated bag carrier. Partway through, Su Zenning pulled me into a store, eyeing me critically. She picked out several outfits and pairs of shoes, insisting my current wardrobe was too plain. I tried to refuse, but she brushed me off with a smile and said, "You're my driver. Now there's a dress code." Eventually, I gave in. Truth is, Sulu used to do the same thing. Dressing me up to her taste was one of her favorite hobbies. Her villa still had entire wardrobes filled with clothes she had picked for me. After the breakup, I only took the ones I bought for myself comfortable, simple mine. Sulu frowned. "You already have more clothes than you wear. Now you're letting someone else buy you more?" She emphasized the words home and someone else. Su Zenning quickly stepped in to smooth things over. "He only packed a few outfits this trip. I just bought him a couple pieces. Don't overthink it, my beautiful Su." Suloa didn't respond, just gave me a sideways glance and kept walking. We wandered around for a bit longer. To my surprise, her other friends each gave me a few gifts, smiling, enthusiastic, and refusing to take no for an answer. Were they trying to make up for causing our breakup? Back then, they barely even acknowledged my existence. Now they were being strangely kind. Instead of going out for drinks that evening, they all came to Su Zenning's place for dinner. And of course, I was the one cooking. I took their orders, drove to the high-end supermarket, picked out the best ingredients, and returned. With the housekeeper's help, I whipped up a full spread. When they sat down to eat, every one of them praised the food, saying it was better than their private chefs. They meant it. Over time, I'd learned exactly what Sulu liked: lighter seasoning, delicate flavors. And because she and her friends often shared meals, their preferences had gradually aligned. They didn't like heavy oil, salt, or spice. I could still make everything taste rich and satisfying by the time they were done. Every dish had been wiped clean. Later, as I helped the housekeeper clean up in the kitchen, I overheard them saying they'd be staying the night. With nothing else to do, I returned to my room, lay back on the bed, and started playing games on my phone. Some were showering. Some were chatting just as I was about to win a game of Pinnacle. The door suddenly creaked open. There she was, Sulua. She was wearing the same type of nightgown from the night before, clinging to her curves in all the right ways. Her long, wet hair was draped over her shoulders, cheeks still flushed from the shower. She held a hairdryer in one hand. I had to admit her taste in clothes, as always, was impeccable. I subtly adjusted my sitting position, trying to hide my reaction. I'd touched that body countless times. And maybe that's why I knew exactly how irresistible she could be. I kept my eyes on my phone, pretending to be absorbed in the screen, even though the countdown read 35 seconds until respawn. "Dry my hair for me," she said, smiling as she handed me the hairdryer. "I'm busy," I muttered, tapping the screen. "Ask your girlfriend." She didn't leave. Shh. She sat right down beside me, our legs almost touching. Then she began, swinging her legs, brushing against mine again and again. It was impossible to concentrate. Finally, I stood up. "Miss Su, we've already broken up. Don't act like this sit wouldn't look good if someone saw. And besides, we're at someone else's house. Can you please be more mindful? Then come back home with me," she said quietly, looking straight at me. "I'm staying just fine right here. Why should I go to your place? Just hire a chef and a nanny," I said coldly. "You'd get great ones for under 100,000 a month. I'm expensive now." 1 million per month. Sulua was clearly shocked. "Million," I shrugged. "Make it 5 million, I still wouldn't go. I want to live with dignity. Look how nice Zenning is to me and like you, always cold and distant. If I ever slipped up, I got scolded. I could feel my voice rising. Sulu's expression hardened too. She's faking it. Shh. She used to insult you, even more, calling you a loser, a freeloader, a pretty boy. Said you weren't good enough for me. Enough, snapped, pushing her out of the room. Are you doing a stand-up routine at midnight? The next morning after breakfast, Lin Ruxu casually told Su Zhenning she needed her driver for the... Dion wanted to borrow me. Su Zhenning looked reluctant, but Ruxu had been her childhood friend. She couldn't really refuse. The other two friends were surprised. Oh, you can borrow him then. I want him tomorrow. Me the day after. We're all besties, you can't play favorites. Su Zhenning let out a tired sigh. I borrow him all you want. 3 days. Almost 100,000 yuan in wages. But for their 100 billion yuan families, it was nothing. Sulu hesitated then, said softly, Zhenning. Can I borrow him for a month? Enough. Zhenning cut her off. After that, I drove Lin Ruxu to a luxury beauty salon. She got a full treatment, Dan. Booked one for me too. Afterwards, she took me shopping, chatting the whole way. She laughed at my jokes, and I found myself enjoying her company. Later, she asked me to drive her to Cloud Top Restaurant, the one on the tallest building in the city. On clear days, you could see a sea of clouds from up there. We're here, I said. When we arrived, call me when you're done eating. I'll wait outside. She gave me a look. What are you talking about? Of course you're eating with me, just the two of us. You helped me so much today, she added. Let me treat you. Helped? Blinked. We just went shopping and got facials. She smiled and pulled me out of the car, linking her arm with mine. As soon as we walked in, the hostess greeted us warmly. Hello, are you two a couple? Before I could answer, Ruxu nodded with a bright smile. I didn't correct her. If you'd like to join our cutest couple promotion, the hostess said you can take a photo together. The winning pair gets to dine here free for a month. The photo will be displayed for 30 days, then mailed to you. I'm in, Ruxu said cheerfully. And before I knew it, I was saying me too. Felt like a wedding ceremony. After that photo, we sat down and ordered. I come here often with the girls, Ruxu said, scanning the menu. Lue is always so over the top. She makes you wait outside like a chauffeur. Then, more quietly, she added with a faint smile, though, honestly, I never thought of you like that. Cut her off. It's all in the past. What I am now, right? A driver? I've never thought of you as just that, she said, looking at me gently. I didn't respond, but for some reason, my chest felt tight. If you were my boyfriend, I'd never treat you like she does. Li Ruxu said that quietly as we sat together. She looked at me, then quickly changed the subject. Was probably noticing how I wasn't really engaged. Do you remember the first time we came to see you at school? Of course I remember, I said. I smiled, thinking back. I was reading on the playground. When I looked up, I was suddenly surrounded by 5 stunning girls. Later I found out you were the famous 5 golden flowers of the school. Li Ruxu laughed. Do remember, word had gotten around that the most handsome guy in the school was in class 3. So, we came to check it out. She giggled. You didn't even notice us at first. Just kept reading your book. You had the funniest reaction when you finally looked up, shocked and totally helpless. I grinned. It's because you scared the hell out of me. There were so many of you. And you tugged my shirt and said you wanted to touch my abs. I'd never seen anything like that in my life. Li Ruxu burst out laughing. Guilty. That was me. I must have left quite the impression, huh? She was. Always like this, cheerful, spontaneous, full of life. We ended up talking about old times for hours, just laughing and reminiscing. That evening we walked barefoot along the beach. Her hair flowed in the sea breeze, the sunset painting her in this almost dreamlike glow. She looked canting by. The time I drove her home was past 11 p.m. Cloud Top Restaurant had messaged her. We had won first place in their couples photo contest. She showed me the message, her smile bright enough to light up the whole car. After dropping her off, I drove back to Sulu's house. Everyone was already asleep. I quietly washed up and went to bed, and it turned out they hadn't lied. Over the next 2 days, I was lent to the rest of Sulu's best friends taking turns eating, drinking, and going out with beautiful women. It felt like dating. Honestly, I didn't hate it. I was even enjoying myself. Today it was Sulu's turn. She called me before 5 a.m. after making breakfast for her brother, Suzying. I got in the car and drove over. When I arrived, she was still in bed. She came downstairs in a silky nightgown, her hair a bit messy. "Make me breakfast." "I'm starving," she said. I sighed but went to the kitchen. I owed her, I suppose. She ate slowly at the table while I scrolled through my phone. "You went to Cloud Top Restaurant with Ruxu the other day." You took a couple's photo and won." She treated you all to dinner." "Yeah, handsome man and beautiful woman must have. Looked like the perfect couple." I looked up. "Why are you saying this?" She didn't answer, just stared at me. Then tears started falling. She broke down crying. "You're still mad at me, aren't you? I never thought of you as just a driver. Yao, you've always been my boyfriend, the man I want to marry." Her voice trembled. "It was them, my friends. They always told me not to bring my boyfriend out, that it was embarrassing. It made me feel like if I brought you around I'd be looked down on, but I swear I really do love you." "Many times did I propose to you, Sulu? And how did you answer?" I looked her dead in the eye. "You kept saying your friends didn't think I was good enough, that they always badmouthed me. I believed you. But over the past few days, I've spent time with them.
Ow.
Every single one of them treated me better than you ever did. They took me places I was never even allowed to go with you. Places where I'd always be stuck waiting downstairs like a servant. Hand on your heart, did you ever treat me like your boyfriend? Did you ever truly respect me? I took care of you like a child. If anything upset you even slightly, you'd scold me like I was your son. No matter who was around, you'd accuse me of trying to take advantage of you, like I was. Some gold digger. I know you're worth close to $1 billion. I agreed to marry into your family. I even agreed that everything you own would go to our future kids, not me. I helped manage your company. I lived on cheap boxed lunches for years, working late every night. How much did I make from you in all that time? Almost nothing. For 5 years I gave you everything. No weekends, no vacations, no peace. And the one time I finally went out for some skewers with a few friends, you acted like I committed a crime. You insulted my friends, called them trash. Now we hadn't seen each other in 5 years. When I finally called them again, they came without hesitation. How do you think it felt hearing you insult the only people who've stood by me? Finally, I couldn't hold it in anymore. Me, a 6'2" martial arts guy, ended up crying like a kid. Sulu dropped to her knees in front of me. Wiping my tears with shaking hands, she cried even harder than I did. Yao, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I love you. I really do. I don't. You remember how good I was to you back in school? For 2 whole years, I never even looked at anyone else. While my friends kept changing boyfriends, I only had you. I gave you my first time. Doesn't that mean anything to you? I looked at her. It was my first time too, and I only had you. You think you were the only one pursued? Had options too. She grabbed my hand. I know I hurt you. I know you won't forgive me that easily, but please, give me a chance. I'll make it up to you. No more controlling you. No more treating you like you don't matter. You agree? We'll get married. No prenup. I'll share everything. I didn't say a word. I just stared at her after she cleaned up and got dressed. I drove her to the club where her friends were waiting. Before getting out, she leaned toward my window. Yao, this is the last time I'll ever make you wait outside. I'm going up to take care of something, then we'll start over, okay? Before I could reply, she walked away. She entered the private room upstairs. Her friends were already deep into the gathering. They noticed her red eyes right away and rushed over. What's wrong? She didn't answer. Just picked up a glass and downed it in one go. Then she said, through tears, after this drink, our friendship ends. We won't see each other again. Everyone froze. These were friends she'd grown up with, inseparable since elementary school. Sulu, what are you talking about? This isn't funny. It's not a joke, she said, trembling. You're my best friends. But I hurt the man I love because I was trying to please you. I can't do that anymore. You were the one who said he wasn't good enough for me, Sue, Lewis said, voice trembling with pain. You convinced me to treat him coldly, to push him away. And now that we've broken up, every single one of you is trying to get close to him. Is this how you treat your friend? Her so-called friends couldn't meet her eyes. No one raised their glass for the farewell toast. A heavy silence fell over the group. Sulua looked around at them, her gaze cold. What, you won't even drink? One last glass with me or good friend? None of them spoke. It doesn't matter anymore, she said bitterly. We're done. She turned to leave, but someone called out. Wait, Sulua, do you really love Isa? She froze. If you truly loved him, her friend said softly, why did you let what we said get in the way? At first, yes. Another chimed in. We thought Isa came from a totally different world. He's good-looking, sure, and he's got a great figure. But we're rich, we could have our pick of guys like that. And yet you were completely head over heels for him. We honestly thought you were being scammed by a pretty face. Susan, eyes glassy with tears, added, but you really don't know how lucky you were. You know why all our boyfriends broke up with us after seeing Isa? Because the difference was just overwhelming. Another girl stepped forward. When you were feeling sick, he made flower tea to soothe your stomach. My boyfriend tossed. Me, a bottle of beer. When you were hungry, he showed up with home-cooked meals in insulated containers. Every single one made by him. Mine? He'd just pull out his phone and order takeout? Susan continued. We were happy for you when good things happened in your life. But when we saw how Isa treated you, compared to how our boyfriends treated us, we honestly couldn't stand it. Maybe you've gotten used to his kindness, another added, but we saw it clearly. I'd give in to you about anything else, Susan said. But this is about your lifelong happiness. I couldn't stand by and let you throw that away. The others nodded in agreement. Tears poured down Sulua's face. She couldn't bear to hear another word. She turned and walked away, her steps heavy and dragging. In the days that followed, she still drove Susan and her friends to their usual gatherings, but Sulua never came again. To my surprise, they began inviting me to join them. They were kinder, more genuine, but something felt hollow. Then, about 10 days later, something unexpected happened. Every billboard, every digital screen in the city changed at once to a video. It was Sulua kneeling on the ground, crying. As she begged me for forgiveness, Susan saw it too. What do you think? She asked gently as I drove. I stayed quiet, keeping my eyes on the road. The next day, my phone rang while I was at the clubhouse. It was Sue, Lua, Isa. Come downstairs. I've something to tell you. Before I could respond, she hung up. Went down, and there she was dressed beautifully, but looking worn and fragile. Seeing her like that made my chest ache. No matter what had happened, this was still the woman I had loved for 7 years. Her eyes lit up the moment she saw me. Ran over carrying something. I made these for you, she said breathlessly. Fatty intestines, your favorite, and these skewers too. I grilled everything myself. She hesitated, searching my face. You know I used to hate these. I couldn't even stand the smell, but I washed the intestines again and again. I skewered them, grilled them over and over until I got it right. I practiced at home for days, and finally, I thought they were good enough to bring to you. I looked down at her hands. They were covered in cuts and blisters. This woman who once couldn't leave the house without perfect makeup and hair now stood in front of me, hands injured, just for the chance to cook for me. I gently took her hand. Does it hurt? She shook her head. Isa, don't forgive me too easily. I hurt you too deeply. If you forgive me right away, I might take it for granted again. I need this to be a hard lesson. My voice caught in my throat. Then, wasn't that billboard thing a bit much? No, not at all, she replied. I said I'd help you regain the dignity you lost. This is just the beginning. Go upstairs and eat while it's still warm. I'm leaving. She got in her car and drove away. I watched until she disappeared before finally opening the insulated container. Over the next few days, she kept showing up 3 times a day, bringing me home-cooked meals, eventually on. The 10th day, she called me again. Her voice was quiet. "Can I ask you for a favor?" I didn't hesitate, of course. She wanted me to meet her at her company. After I dropped off Suzanine, I rushed over. I walked into her office, my old workplace, without knocking. She was bent over her desk, organizing papers. But the moment she saw me, her cold expression crumbled. She burst into tears and rushed into my arms. I held her tightly. "What's wrong?" She told me everything. After our breakup, her father returned to help with the company. When he found out about the public apology video, he was furious, demanded she'd take it down. She refused. He got so angry he ended up hospitalized. Since then, she'd been running the company on her own, completely overwhelmed. She didn't know what to do, and that's why she called me. I helped her navigate everything that day. And as the sun set, she insisted on taking me out to dinner. We went to the Cloud Top restaurant. "Why here?" I asked, a little surprised. "We've never been here together before." She looked flustered. "No reason, just felt like it." After we sat down and ordered, I noticed a photo on display me. "And another woman? Ruxu. That's from some past event," I said, getting up. "I'll ask them to take it down." But Sulu stopped me. "It's okay. Just a photo. I'm actually happy to see you still care." We talked for hours. She remembered every detail of our past little moments from our school days that I had forgotten. After dinner, I offered to drive her home. She smiled and snapped her fingers. Suddenly, the lights dimmed. The spotlight shone down on us. Confused, I looked around. She stepped forward, holding a small box with a ring. "Isa," she said, her voice trembling, "I love you. Will you marry me?" I was stunned. But as soon as I realized what was happening, I held out my hand, letting her slide the ring on. Then I pulled her into a deep kiss. The whole restaurant erupted in applause. The manager came over, congratulating us and announcing that Sulu had covered the bill for everyone. Soon after, I resigned from my job with Suzanine. I hadn't even been there a month, so I didn't ask for any salary. She seemed disappointed but wished us well. Sulu and I held our engagement party not long after. 6 months later, we got married. Her friends were her bridesmaids and they apologized. She forgave them. A year later, she gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. They were the light of our lives. I took care of her, spoiled her like I always had. But this time, she spoiled me too. Her favorite thing was to curl up in my arms. She still went out with her friends, but only once a month, and I always went with her, just to make sure she didn't drink too much. The company thrived under our leadership now. Whenever I look at our children running around the house and my beloved wife in my arms, I can only think, "Sulu, I love you. I'll treat you well always."